In 1653, in the village of Salem, young Winifred hurries home, pushing everyone who crosses her path. When she arrives, she finds her sisters, Mary and Sarah, who have prepared a special jelly for Winnie's birthday. However, the girl is angry because the Reverend has decided that she must marry John Pritchett, a young man from the village. Winifred refuses because she does not want to be separated from her sisters, and the two try to cheer her up by giving her a rare spider they found in the field as a gift. The young woman is happy with the gesture, but the Reverend goes to the sisters' house, along with the villagers. He demands that Winifred marry John and obey the laws of Salem, but the girl refuses once again. Because of this, the Reverend declares that Winnie is expelled from Salem and her sisters will be raised by the Smith family. He then orders Mary and Sarah to be taken away, but the Reverend sees Winifred's spider walking on his arm and begins to scream in terror. Confusion breaks out in the village, and the three sisters take the chance to escape, running toward the forbidden forest. There, they hear a beautiful voice singing in the distance, and suddenly an eagle appears, flying toward the sisters. The bird soon transforms into a witch, who grabs Sarah by the neck and tries to force her to drink a magic potion. However, Winifred rushes to save her sister and pushes the witch away, who is impressed by the girl's courage. She then introduces herself as the Mother Witch, who lives in the Forbidden Forest, a sacred place for the witches of Salem. Seeing potential in the girls, she gives them her book of spells so that they can become powerful witches in the future. However, there is a spell, known as Magicae Maxima, capable of making a sorceress extremely powerful, but it is forbidden. Winifred promises not to perform such a spell, and the Mother Witch leaves, leaving the book with the three sisters. Minutes later, they return to the village and begin to flip through the books until they find a spell called the Spell of Smoke and Flame. The three decide to test it and recite the spell right in front of the Reverend's house, which begins to burn. The book really works, and the sisters begin their journey to become the most powerful witches in the world. In the present day, Salem has become an ordinary American town, where two friends, Izzy and Becca, live. They have just arrived at school and Izzy is eager to celebrate Becca's birthday on Halloween Eve. Since childhood, the two girls, along with their friend Cassie, have celebrated the date with a horror movie marathon. However, since she started dating Mike, Cassie has been distancing herself from her friends. During science class, Becca decides to play a joke on Mike, reciting words as if she were casting a spell on him. The boy gets angry and the two start arguing, causing the teacher to stop the class and ask what is going on. Instead of defending Becca, Cassie sides with her boyfriend and her friend is taken to the principal's office. After being scolded, Becca meets up with Izzy and the two decide not to invite Cassie to the movie marathon. Before heading home, they go to check out the Halloween festival, where they run into Mr. Trask, the mayor of Salem and Cassie's father. He is happy to see the girls again and asks for their help in distributing his re-election flyers. The two agree and take the flyers to a magic shop, where the owner, Gilbert, is giving a presentation on the legend of the Sanderson sisters. The story says that Winifred, Mary, and Sarah became great witches after finding the book of spells. Years passed, and one night, they were accused of eliminating a girl and were executed in the public square. Despite this, they cast a curse, and if a dark flame candle is lit on Halloween Eve, the sisters will haunt Salem again. 29 years ago, they managed to return from the afterlife, and Gilbert shows the candle that was used to bring them back to life. After the presentation, Gilbert meets Becca, and upon learning that she is about to turn 16, he gives her a special candle as a gift. He says that this candle will protect her from evil spirits and also gives her angelica leaves, used to break curses. Becca thanks him for the gift and goes with Izzy to start the festivities, but the girl asks them to stop by Salem Forest first. Once there, Izzy has the idea of replicating a witch ritual to make Halloween more fun, and Becca agrees. The two then begin the ritual and light the candle, but a dark flame appears, just like in the legend of the Sanderson sisters. Soon after, the entire forest begins to shake and a huge crack opens in the ground. From within it, the Sanderson sisters emerge, ready to haunt Salem once again. Realizing they have been tricked by Gilbert, Becca and Izzy try to escape, but Sarah appears before them and says that the witches are hungry for fresh flesh. Becca then tries to cover up, saying she is a big fan of the witches, which is why she brought them back. In addition, the girl says that the witches no longer need to go after victims to cast their spells, as they can find potions and magic in stores throughout Salem. The witches are excited about this and order the girls to take them to one of these stores. With no other choice, Izzy and Becca go to town and enter a beauty supply store. Inside, Becca continues to keep up the charade and tells the three to go to the end of the aisle, where they will find the magic potions. The witches go there, and having no idea what all those products are, they start drinking the lotions, creams, and even the perfumes from the store. However, they feel no magical effect, and when they find one of the employees, Winifred demands to know if there are any magic potions in the store. Upon discovering the truth, the three sisters confront Becca, and Winifred prepares to cast a spell on the girl. Luckily, Becca manages to dodge and bumps into Izzy, who had taken several jars of salt from the store. The girl remembers that in stories, witches' spells can be blocked with salt and decides to put this to the test. Finally, the Sanderson sisters find the two friends, and Winifred casts another spell on them. However, at the last second, Izzy pours the salt on the floor, causing the spell to be returned against the witches. Thanks to this protection, the girls leave, but Winifred ignores them and calls the sisters to go after the Book of Spells. They need to hurry, because if they don't do something to break the curse at dawn, they will return to the afterlife. To do this, they take a broom, a vacuum cleaner, and 2 robot vacuum cleaners and use them as transportation, flying through the skies of Salem. Meanwhile, Becca and Izzy run back to the magic shop and confront Gilbert about the candle he gave them. He confesses that he tricked the girls because he is a big fan of the Sanderson sisters and wanted to bring them back to life. The girls think this is crazy, but suddenly, the spell book begins to move, and a human eye appears on the cover. Gilbert then opens the book and a strong light pierces the skies, indicating the book's location to the witches. Seconds later, the Sanderson sisters find the magic shop, which is in the same place where they lived years ago. Upon seeing the book, Winifred takes it back and uses her magic to open a secret door in the floor that leads to a dungeon. She then throws Becca and Izzy inside and removes the ladder to prevent the girls from leaving and disrupting her plans. Gilbert tries to intervene, saying that the witches don't need to do this to the girls and explains that he was the one who brought them back to life. He also reveals that 29 years ago, on Halloween night, he was walking home when some neighborhood boys took his candy. Gilbert was annoyed, but he saw the 3 witches in the sky and followed them to the cemetery. He arrived just in time to see them disappearing at dawn, but the boy was impressed by the witches and researched their entire history. Finally, he found the Book of Spells and kept it safe all these years, setting up his shop inside the former home of the Sanderson sisters. Despite all his efforts, the witches don't care and try to think of a way to stay alive. Suddenly, Mary sees one of Mayor Traskey's flyers on the table, and the 3 discover that he is a descendant of the former Reverend of Salem. Wanting revenge against him, Winifred decides to cast the forbidden spell, Magicae Maxima, to become an even more powerful witch. That way, she will be able to make the potion to come back to life, take revenge on Trask, and destroy all of Salem. She then begins to search the book, but to her surprise, it refuses to open, as it knows that this spell is forbidden. Even so, the witch uses her magic to open it and sees Magicae Maxima, which requires several ingredients to be performed. As they don't have much time, Winifred takes her old hourglass and casts a curse on Gilbert. From that moment on, he must find the ingredients before the last grain of sand falls, otherwise his soul will be taken. With no other options, Gilbert takes the list of materials from Mary and sets out to find them, while the witches go in search of Mayor Trask. After hearing everything, Becca and Izzy try to video call Cassie to warn her that her father is in danger. At that moment, the girl is throwing a Halloween party without her father's permission and receives a call from her friends, but when she tries to answer, the screen goes completely dark. It seems that the witch's spell has caused interference and Becca cannot talk to Cassie. Izzy then remembers the Angelica leaves she picked up, which are capable of breaking curses, and suggests setting them on fire to see if the 2 can get out of the dungeon. Becca agrees, and the 2 set the leaves on fire, causing the spell to be broken and the staircase to reappear. The 2 then escape from the dungeon. At the same time, Gilbert continues his search for ingredients, the first of which is the head of a witch's lover. He then goes to the grave of Billy Butcherson, Winifred's ex-boyfriend, who was eliminated after cheating on her with her sister Sarah. As soon as he starts digging, Gilbert is startled to see Billy rise from the ground. Despite being a zombie, he tells Gilbert that he will not attack him and only wants to be freed from the witch's curse and find eternal rest. Billy reveals that he was unjustly eliminated, as he was never Winifred's boyfriend, but she could not bear the fact that he was in love with Sarah. Even though he is suspicious of the zombie, Gilbert asks for his help in finding the ingredients and casting a spell to defeat the witches once and for all. Back at the store, Becca rushes to call Mr. Trask, who is waiting in line for one of the festival attractions. Becca knows he won't believe the story about the witches, so she tells him that Cassie threw a party without her father's permission. Upon hearing this, the mayor rushes back home, narrowly escaping the witches, who have just arrived at the festival. After solving this problem, Becca goes looking for the spellbook and finds it, thanks to the help of Cobweb, Gilbert's pet cat. She then takes the book from one of the shelves, but it has been cursed by the witches and is pulled back. Since they can't use the spell book, Becca and Izzy go to Cassie's house, driving Gilbert's bus to get there faster. Meanwhile, the sisters continue to search for the mayor, when one of the festival workers mistakes the witches for cosplayers. He says the contest will start soon and takes the sisters to the stage, where the judges will decide on the best Salem witch costume. The three believe that victory is guaranteed, as they are the real Sanderson sisters. However, the judges end up choosing another trio, which makes Winifred furious, and she takes the prize by force. In addition, she warns everyone that she is looking for the mayor, and whether they like it or not, they will help her find him. Everyone around them is confused, but the witches cast a spell and order the band on stage to start playing. Then the three sisters begin to sing and dance, with everyone around them doing the same, as they are being controlled by the sisters' magic. With everyone under her control, Winifred orders the crowd to search for the mayor throughout the city. Far away, Izzy and Becca arrive at the home of Cassie's, who is angry that Becca told her father she was having a party at home. Meanwhile, the crowd continues to search for the mayor, but the witches are tired of waiting. They then decide to look for someone faster, and coincidentally, they find Cassie's boyfriend, who had just left her house. When they see the boy in his football uniform, they cast a spell on Mike and he runs off toward his girlfriend's house. Minutes later, he arrives in the neighborhood where she lives, and when she sees the boy with the witches, Becca tells Cassie and Izzy to hide inside the house. However, the witches see the girls and break into their house, looking for the mayor. Clueless about what's going on, Mr. Trask goes back to the festival to get a snack when he sees a crowd coming his way. Believing it to be some kind of musical number, the mayor joins in on the fun, but as soon as the group finds him, the witch's spell is broken. Mr. Trask is confused, but things only get worse when he returns to the line and finds the snack stand closed. Back at the mayor's house, Becca, Cassie, and Izzy hide in the garage, with the witches arriving shortly after. They see Becca hiding behind the bookcase, and the girl tries to make a deal, saying she can help them with their powerful spell. She says she overheard the conversation about the ingredients and that she has one of them in her hand, Aurelia juice. Becca then shows them a bottle with a few drops of the juice and promises to give it to them if they let her and her friends escape. The witches order her to hand over the bottle, but the girl refuses and asks why the Sanderson sisters want to attack Salem. Winifred replies that the Reverend tried to separate her from her sisters in the past, and now she intends to take revenge on his descendant. After explaining everything, the three try to take the bottle by force, but Izzy and Cassie come out of the closets and start sprinkling salt around the witches. Thanks to this, Winifred's spell is blocked and the witches are trapped in a force field. Elsewhere in town, Gilbert continues to search for the ingredients, with Billy's help. Since everyone is dressed up for Halloween, no one notices that he is a zombie, and the two collect the ingredients on the list. After that, they return to the store and Gilbert realizes that the sand in the hourglass is more than halfway gone. He tries to turn the object upside down, but Winifred's magic is powerful and the sand continues to fall. Then Billy sees the hourglass and realizes that Gilbert has a magical contract with the witches. He believes that the guy is trying to help them and leaves, but Gilbert runs after the zombie, saying he needs his head, as it is also one of the ingredients. Billy refuses, but Gilbert is desperate and rips the zombie's head off to take it to the witches. Meanwhile, Becca and her friends leave the garage and find Mike, free from the witch's spell. Then, she and Izzy explain everything that happened and that they need to keep the witches locked up until dawn. However, Mayor Trask shows up in his car and is about to enter the garage when he sees the three sisters standing in front of him. Mr. Trask believes they are guests at the party and goes to greet them, but Cassie rushes to stop him before he lets them go. The girl tries to cover it up and says she will accompany them to the exit while her father goes inside to rest for a while. Although confused, he agrees, and as soon as he enters the house, Cassie and the others return to the bus to continue waiting until dawn. However, unnoticed by anyone, Mary's robot vacuum cleaners follow them and begin to clean the salt protection around the witches. Thanks to this, the Sanderson sisters manage to escape and capture Cassie, so she can pay for her ancestors' crimes. Becca tries to stop them, and suddenly, her hands begin to emit a mysterious energy. The girl has no idea how she did it, but there is no time to waste, and she calls Izzy to go after her friend. The witches head towards the Forbidden Forest because, according to the spellbook, magic must be performed in a place sacred to witches. Before they arrive, Gilbert goes to the place and takes all the ingredients he found, including Billy's head. Seconds later, the witches arrive in the forest, bringing Cassie with them, and Winifred invokes the spellbook to summon Magicae Maxima. However, one very important ingredient is still missing: the blood of an enemy. For this reason, the witches decide to sacrifice Cassie to complete the ritual, and now that Gilbert has fulfilled his mission, they release him from the contract and send the man far away. Then the three gather all the ingredients and begin to recite the spell. In the middle of the ritual, the two friends arrive in the forest and Izzy notices that Becca's hands continue to glow. She believes that her friend is also a witch and can use her magic against the Sanderson sisters. Becca has no idea how to control this new power, but asks Izzy to rescue Cassie while she sets out to confront the witches. When they see the girl, the three sisters sense the magic growing inside her, and Becca tries to cast a spell from her hands. However, as she is still inexperienced, her power causes no damage, and the witches prepare to eliminate her. Fortunately, Cassie and Izzy save their friend by throwing rocks and fruit at the three lunatics. Sarah tries to protect Winifred, and for the first time, she manages to shoot a powerful beam from her fingers. Mary does the same, indicating that Magicae Maxima is working and they have become even stronger. The two begin to cast spells everywhere, making Winifred angry, and she orders the sisters to behave, or they will also be enchanted. The sisters are hurt by this attitude and leave, while Winifred stays and starts firing spells at Becca. Even though she is injured, the girl tries to convince the witch to give up her plan, as there is still a chance for her to redeem herself for her mistakes. The witch doesn't care and continues to attack, but Becca says that before leaving the store, she managed to talk to the spell book. To prove it, the girl reaches out her hand, and suddenly the book flies towards her. After that, Becca reunites with Cassie and Izzy, and the three ask the book for a way to fight Winifred. It then opens to the Magicae Maxima page and displays a warning, saying that for the magic to work, they must divide the power and sacrifice what they love most. Seconds later, the three witches reappear to attack the girls, but Becca manages to conjure a force field. Even so, the field is almost falling apart, but Izzy asks the three friends to join hands, because by sharing the power, they will be stronger. The plan works and the force field holds, but the witches don't care and return to complete the spell. As soon as the ritual is finished, a powerful beam of light crosses the skies, and then the candle of the dark flame goes out. This time, the witches do not disappear, indicating that the spell has worked and they have come back to life, stronger than ever. The Sanderson sisters celebrate this victory, but Becca reappears and says they need to undo the spell as soon as possible. Winifred refuses, but the girl warns that the spell has a price, and it takes away what a witch loves most. At that very moment, Sarah and Mary's bodies begin to disappear, and realizing her mistake, Winifred tries to undo the magic, but it is too late. Without her sisters, the witch feels remorse for the first time and begs the spellbook to undo the magic. It then opens to a page and lets Becca and her friends recite a new spell. However, instead of bringing Mary and Sarah back, the spell will send Winifred to join her sisters. Despite this, the witch is happy to be reunited with them and just smiles as her body begins to fade away and she is sent to meet Mary and Sarah somewhere in the afterlife. The Sanderson sisters are gone, and shortly after, Gilbert appears, along with Billy's headless body. After that, he reunites the body with the zombie's head, which is finally free from the witch's curse and can now depart for its long-awaited eternal rest. With everything resolved, Gilbert apologizes for what he did and promises to give the girls discounts on all items in the store. Finally, Becca, Cassie, and Izzy are friends again and leave for home together, planning to follow tradition and have their movie marathon before Halloween. However, at the magic shop, Cobweb finds a box on the shelf with a second dark flame candle. Thanks to this, there is a chance that the Sanderson sisters will return and terrorize the town of Salem once again.